Boys and girls, welcome back to another video on my YouTube channel, and in this one I'm going to be showing you how you can do requirements engineering for your next side project. And I'm going to be showing you examples, real world example of an app I'm just starting to develop right now. So I'm going to define requirements for my next step, and I'm going to show you basically an example of how I managed to do that. So if you're not subscribed, make sure to click that subscribe button. It takes only 3 seconds and it means a lot to the channel. So without further ado, let's get started. So basically, requirements engineering is, as I've written here, just a process of defining, documenting, and maintaining requirements in the engineering design process. So basically, we're only going to do this part, just defining, and I want to mention that this is what I would do for my next side project. So I'm going to just define and also document the requirements for my next project. And we're talking about maintaining only later, and usually when we're doing an app for a client, because clients' requirements change and you need to maintain them and adapt, and the changing requirements should be reflected by your app that you're developing. So there are basically two types of requirements: user and system requirements. I will only define the user requirements because the system requirements, as you will see later, are not that important, especially if you're doing a side project as I am. So user requirements are basically, as the name suggests, it's pretty straightforward, just written in natural language for the users, and there are no technical details. And basically I usually separate those user requirements into core features and second phase features. And when I say features, I mean requirements, basically. So you may wonder why I'm deciding to kind of separate those feature or requirements into two parts. Well, because with side projects and also with every project, you should first of all try to build what is called an MVP, a minimal viable product. So the minimum viable product basically contains the 80% of the value in just 20% of the features. And those are what I call core features. Basically, if something goes wrong or the development of the app is slow, or you're late on your deadlines, etc., just if you do or develop just the core features, you're going to be good, because these core features should develop the 80% of the value of the app. So now I'm going to show you an example of what a core features should look like. So I'm planning, actually this is the first step towards the development of my quiz app. So I'm going to show you what are the core features or my to be built quiz app. Basically, it's an app where meant for students, and it can be used for everyone that creates tests for something they want to learn. So basically, you create a test or a quiz for yourself with questions and answers. So the core features are, of course, that users should be able to create a new test with single choice questions and answers. So in the core features, the app will be with only single choice questions, and then I will of course expand upon them and with updates, etc. But first of all, it will have only single choice questions. So that's important for you to note. make sure to your app only has the corest features. You don't want to have a lot of work. You want to be able to ship things very fast. So when you're creating a new test, of course, they're going to be should be able to create or name your test, and then in the configure section you're going to set duration of the test. So basically the test is 20 minutes if it's a short test with, let's say, 10 questions. It's maybe 20 minutes. If there are more questions, you may set the duration of the test for half an hour, etc. So also another core feature, this is a must because uh, you need to save tests later. You, of course, if you can create this, you you will have the option to save them in sort of a my test section, and I will save the data in, or I will link your tests you create with your Google account. So another core feature is I will have a authentication with basically OAuth. This is easy to implement and it just gets the job done, and also I don't need to handle all of the authentication for me, just handled by Google. Also, I do this with the passport library if you're interested. There's a really good tutorial from the Net Ninja on YouTube here that I will link down below if you are interested to learn OAuth for creating web application or authentication. And the next or the last core feature, the user should be able to, or the user can share a test with a shareable link or just publish it to my website. So basically, as you can imagine, the app will have sort of a, let's say, all tests section or button like this in the navbar, and when you click it, it will show all of the tests that are shared public. So these are really the core features of my app. So as you can see, you probably got the big picture of my app. If you want to help to more students, you can share them with a link and publish them to the homepage. You can save tests only for yourself if you don't want to help or you don't have anyone to help. And it would be, first of all, in the MVP, in the first update or in the first version, I should say, it would be very, very basic. But then we go to the second phase features, and this will be, it depends, probably in the next few versions I will add this. These are also a must. Basically, they're not a must, but they're nice to have features. The app can work with only these core features, but these are nice to have, and it will make the application, of course, better. So, what are the second phase features in my quiz app that's going to be built? So, I'm going to allow for multiple choice questions because in the core features I only allow for single choice questions, and that's boring, not boring, but very limited. Also, I'm going to add images are going to be option. You're going to be able to upload images as answers, and you're going to have sort of a drop down answers. So you're going to be able to select answers from a given set or list of preset answers. And there are also other requirements, not user but system requirements, that I will not talk about really as much because they're not so important, or if imported at all for your side project. So this if you're creating a side project. They are basically what I found out on the internet. They're written for developers and they consist of functional and non-functional requirements. And functional, as the name suggests, are requirements that just define a feature of the system. So basically, a functional requirement is sort of like this. Creating a test is a functional requirement if it's defined in a, of course, sort of a systematic way. And I've defined it here because I've explained it with natural language. So it's explained for the user. That's why it's in user requirements. Functional are also explained in this sentence. It's basically something that the system will do or can do. And non-functional requirements are basically referred to the system non-functional properties, so performance, usability, security, etc. So examples from, and this is why I say all the time that system requirements are not needed for your side project, because the example of system requirements are minimum CPU or processor speed, minimum GPU, video. These are really not important, RAM, etc. So just focus on the user requirements and you're good to go. So in the next video, that's all about it for this video. In the next one, I'm going to be showing you what's the next step towards building or developing your next side project. So make sure you stay for that. There's going to be a card at the end of the video. So if that video is of course uploaded to YouTube, and make sure to subscribe and see you in the next one.